does every trick.
Jake doesn't wear cologne, so she thought she was being clever. I recognized it immediately as the sample she grabbed from the mall when we went shopping the week before. Jake thought it was weird, but trusted me. She started making breakfast for Jake every morning while I was getting ready. Would mention how she noticed I'd been working late a lot recently. How my work clothes seemed fancier lately. Was I trying to impress someone? She'd say all this while serving Jake his favorite breakfast. Then came the Friday I had to work late on a project. Legitimate quarterly reports due Monday.
He is. He
Megan
went to go
told
get
Jake
it.
she saw me at a restaurant with some guy at lunch. Described him perfectly. Tall,
I
blonde,
think with
blue
your
eyes,
dad.
expensive suit. My coworker Brett was gay and
Or
married
your
with two
papa.
kids. Jake actually called Brett to check. Brett's husband thought the whole thing was hilarious
I don't
and invited
know.
us to dinner that
They went and
weekend
got
to
somebody's
laugh about
car.
it. That's
I know
when
that.
Jake realized Megan was trying to break us up. He came to me that night pissed. We compared notes on all her little lies.
Yeah,
The
you got
watch,
kids.
the cologne, the fake sightings, the comments about my phone usage, even how she'd been deleting texts from my mom on my phone so I'd look like I was hiding something when mom called asking why I wasn't responding. We decided to let her think she was winning. Jake started acting distant with me when Megan was around. I'd pretend to hide my phone when she walked in the room. We'd
Yeah.
stage whispered arguments behind closed doors about trust while she pressed her ear against the door. Once Jake pretended to sleep on the couch and she actually came out to comfort him at 2 a.m. in lingerie. Megan was eating it up. She started comforting Jake, rubbing his shoulders, bringing him special dinners, cooking elaborate meals just for him while giving me leftovers. She even told him she'd always had feelings for him but would never act on it while he was with me. Said she noticed him first when we started dating, but I swooped in. That she knew they were meant to be together. Jake almost threw up but kept his face neutral. She actually said I didn't deserve him and she could treat him better. That I was selfish for working so much. That she'd never neglect him as I did. Jake told Megan he was ready to leave me and asked her to meet him at a hotel bar to discuss their future together. But she couldn't believe what happened next. Jake gave her the name and address that same night. The Meridian on 5th Street. Thursday at 8 o'clock. Megan's whole face lit up when he texted her the details. She actually squealed out loud in the living room and I heard her from the bedroom where I was. Jake doesn't wear cologne, so she thought she was being clever. I recognized it immediately as the sample she grabbed from the... But she wanted me to know she regretted her choices. I nodded, but didn't say anything else because I didn't trust my voice not to break. Jake spoke up and told my parents that Megan didn't just lie to me, that she tried to manipulate him for weeks and made him doubt his own judgment about what was real. He said the launch until the court decided who really inherited the house. But Jake doesn't wear... But she wanted me to know she regretted her choices. I nodded, but didn't say anything else because I didn't trust my voice not to break. Jake spoke up and told my parents that Megan didn't just lie to me, that she tried to manipulate him for weeks and made him doubt his own judgment about what was real. He said the lingerie incident at 2 in the morning crossed a serious line, and if Megan had been anyone else, we would have called the police. My parents both looked shocked and turned to stare at Megan. She apparently hadn't told them about that part of the story. Megan stared down at her plate, unable to deny it happened. Dad asked if that was true, and Megan nodded without looking up. Mom put her hand over her mouth and looked like she might be sick. Jake continued that he wanted them to understand this wasn't just sister drama or a misunderstanding, that Megan made calculated choices to try to break us up, so she could have him instead. The room went completely silent except for Mom's quiet crying. We left my parents' house after 2 hours of awkward conversation, with an agreement that Megan would stay away from us while working on herself in therapy, that maybe in 6 months we could revisit having some kind of limited relationship, if she showed real change. Mom hugged me in the driveway crying and apologized for not seeing what Megan was doing. She said she should have noticed something was wrong, but she was so focused on Megan losing her job that she missed the bigger picture. Dad walked Jake to the car and told him he was glad I had someone loyal who stood by me through this mess, that not many guys would have handled it as well as Jake did. We drove home in silence, and I felt emotionally exhausted from the whole afternoon. Jake ordered pizza for dinner because neither of us had the energy to cook after that family meeting.
No,
Monday morning, Jake and I woke up early and decided to deep clean the apartment together. We stripped all the bedding from the pull-out couch where Megan had been sleeping and threw it in the washing machine on the hottest setting. We rearranged furniture in the living room to erase any trace of her presence there, moved the couch back to its original position against the wall, and put our coffee table back where it belonged before she arrived. We threw away the coffee creamer Jake had bought specifically for Megan, and donated the extra towels she'd been using to the shelter downtown. It felt symbolic and necessary to reclaim our space from her manipulation and lies.
Leave that alone.
Jake pulled out his laptop and we finally ordered that expensive coffee machine we'd been planning to buy before Megan moved in and derailed everything. We laughed about finally getting back to our original plans for the apartment and our life together. The coffee machine would arrive Wednesday, and we planned to have our first real date night at home since this whole situation started. Just us cooking dinner together and watching movies without worrying about what Megan was plotting in the next room. Tuesday evening, Lorelai showed up at our door carrying 2 bottles of wine and a bag of Thai food from our favorite place downtown. She took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug before even setting the food down. We settled onto the couch with plates of pad thai and spring rolls while Jake excused himself to play video games in the office and give us space to talk. I told her everything about Sunday dinner at my parents' house. How Megan read from her written apology and admitted to every manipulation. How Mom cried through the whole meal and Dad tried to mediate between us. How I set boundaries about needing time and space before considering any kind of relationship with Megan again. Lorelai squeezed my hand and said she was proud of me for not letting guilt push me into forgiving too quickly. She refilled our wine glasses and pulled out her phone to show me hotel options in Portland. We spent the next 2 hours looking at restaurants and booking reservations for the trip Jake and I had postponed when Megan moved. Jake got comfortable at parties. I also noticed they tasted bitter and he checked his
Sit
watch
down,
after he drank them.
boy.
When his company threw a retirement party, I decided to switch our glasses when he wasn't looking. 30 minutes later, he grabbed my arm. Something's wrong. I need to sit down. I held him to a chair, and when he sat down, his head dropped forward and his breathing went shallow. Someone called 911, and in the ambulance, the paramedic kept asking me what he took. I don't know, but whatever it is, he's been putting it in my drinks for 2 years. Her hands stopped moving. Pardon me? He's been spiking my drinks, so I switched our glasses tonight. She picked up her radio to report what I told her. When we got to the hospital, the nurses rushed him into a room and hooked him up to monitors, while the ER doctor pulled me aside in the hallway. We're running a talk screen. Based on what the paramedic told me, I've already called the police. I sat in the chair next to my husband's bed and waited. A detective showed up 20 minutes later. She got comfortable at parties. I also noticed they tasted bitter and he checked his watch.
They called my wife a peasant at dinner. I froze their credit cards before dessert. You can't dress up a dollar store doll and expect her to look like porcelain. That was the sentence. It wasn't shouted. It wasn't screamed in a drunken rage. It was whispered by my mother to my sister. Loud enough for the table to hear, but quiet enough to maintain the veneer of civility that covered our family like a cheap, rotting tablecloth. My wife, Sarah, froze. Her fork hovered halfway to her mouth. She was wearing a floral dress she bought at Target for $30. She looked beautiful in it. She had curled her hair for this dinner. She had been nervous all day because it was my father's 60th birthday, and she wanted to make a good impression. Again, I was 32 years old. I ran a logistics consulting firm that I built from the ground up. For the last decade, I had been the family bank, the safety net, and the retirement plan. Excuse me, I said. The restaurant was dimly lit, the kind of place where the steaks cost $80 and the waiters speak in hushed tones. The air smelled of truffle oil and old money. My mother took a sip of the Pinot Noir and just ordered a bottle that cost more than Sarah's first coffee. She waved a hand dismissively, her bracelets clinking. Oh, stop it, David. I was just telling Jessica that Sarah's dress is quaint. It's very thrifty. It's good she knows her place. Jessica, my younger sister, giggled behind her hand. She was wearing a Gucci blouse I had paid for. The clutch on the table next to her was a birthday gift from me last year. The lease on the Audi she drove to get here was drafted from my business account. I looked at Sarah. Her eyes were shining, staring fixedly at the white tablecloth. She was a kindergarten teacher. She spent her days wiping noses and teaching kids to share. And she spent her nights grading papers and listening to me vent about supply chains. She was the kindest person I knew, and she came from a family of mechanics who worked hard and loved loud. My family called them the help. Her place, I repeated, my voice flat. My dad cut into his ribeye. Don't start a scene, son. It's my birthday. Your mother is just trying to help Sarah understand the standards. If she's going to carry the Kensington name, she needs to step it up. We have an image. An image? I said. Right. I looked around the table. My father, who retired 10 years ago because his back hurt, though he played 18 holes of golf 3 times a week on a membership I paid for. My mother, who spent her days lunching with friends and complaining that I didn't visit enough. My sister, 26, a lifestyle influencer with 2,000 followers who lived rent-free in the condo I owned downtown. I felt a strange sensation in my chest. It wasn't anger. Anger is hot. It burns. This was cold. It was the feeling of a machine finally shutting down after overheating for too long. It was the mechanical click of a breaker trigger. You're right, I said. I picked up my napkin and dabbed my mouth. Image is important. Sarah reached under the table and squeezed my knee. She was begging me to stop. She always did. Keep the peace, David. They're your family. It's fine, but it wasn't fine. I pulled my phone out of my pocket. I unlocked it and opened the American Express app. What are you doing? Jessica asked, eyeing the phone. Taking a photo of the food? Make sure you tag me. Just checking some finances, I said. My thumb hovered over the card ending in 409. Mother. Freeze card. Are you sure? The app asked me. I tapped yes. I swiped to the next one. Card ending in 5,000. 521. Father. Freeze card. Yes. I swiped to the last one. Card ending in 8,000. 830. Jessica. Freeze card. Yes. Then I opened my banking app. I went to the scheduled transfers. Dad's mortgage. Jessica's HOA. Mom's allowance. Cancel. 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 It took less than 30 seconds. 10 years of funding a lifestyle they hadn't earned, gone with a few taps of a thumb. I put the phone face down on the table. The screen was black. So, I said, looking at my mother, you think Sarah looks cheap? My mother sighed, rolling her eyes. David, don't be dramatic. I'm saying she doesn't fit in. We have, we have certain expectations. And frankly, it's embarrassing when she shows up looking like she just came from a parents' round. It reflects poorly on you. We just want you to have the best, someone who matches your success.
What?
My success? Ando. Exactly. My dad grunted. We raised you to be a king.
No.
You shouldn't settle for a peasant. Sarah flinched. That was the kill shot. I stood up. David, sit down. My dad commanded. We haven't had dessert. I'm full, I said. I looked down at Sarah. Come on, honey. Let's go. Sarah looked up, confused. But the bill? I'll handle the bill on the way out, I said. Just this one. Where are you going? Jessica whined. I ordered the souffle. It takes 20 minutes. I looked at my sister. They called my wife a peasant at dinner. I froze their credit cards before dessert. Final update. I called Street Marys. There was no patient by my mother's name. They called my wife Update 1. She laughed, a short, sharp bark. With what? You know I'm between sponsorships. Better figure it out, I said. Maybe you can sell that blouse. It's worth $600 used. The table went silent. The kind of silence that happens before a thunderclap. What did you say? My mother asked, her voice dropping an octave. I leaned in, placing my hands on the back of my chair. I said, you better figure it out, because as of 30 seconds ago, every credit card in your wallet is frozen. The monthly transfers are canceled. The auto pay on the Lexus and the condo? Gone. My dad dropped his fork. It clattered against the china plate. Is this a joke? Because it's not funny. It's not a joke, I said. You want to talk about standards? You want to talk about the health? Sarah works harder in a day than the three of you have worked in the last decade combined. You think she's poor? She's the only reason I haven't cut you off sooner. She's the one who tells me to be patient. She's the one who reminds me of your family. I looked at Sarah, who was staring at me with wide, shocked eyes. But you just called her a peasant, I continued, my voice steady and cold. So I'm done. The bank of David is closed, permanently. My mother's face turned a blotchy red. You can't do that. We have bills. We have a lifestyle. You have a lifestyle I paid for, I corrected. Now you have a reality check. I gave you life. She shrieked, causing the couple at the next table to turn around. And I paid you back, I said. With interest. For 10 years, we're even. I offered my hand to Sarah. She stood up, her legs shaking. I wrapped my arm around her waist, pulling her close. David, my father stood up, his face darkening. He tried to use his imperious voice, the one that used to scare me when I was 10. If you walk out that door, don't think you can just come back and apologize when you calm down. I laughed. It felt amazing. It felt like breathing pure oxygen after years of holding my breath underwater. Dad, I said, I'm not coming back. And the next time you want to stay, I suggest you apply for a job as a greeter. I hear they're hiring. We walked away. Behind us, I heard the chaos start, my mother's voice rising in panic. Jessica frantically tapping on her phone, probably checking the app, seeing the red account frozen text. I stopped at the Maitre D station. The bill for table 4, I said. The man looked nervous. Yes, sir. Split it, I said. I'm paying for the 2 ribeyes and the salads, the Pinot Noir, the appetizers. The souffle is on. I paid my share. It was $150. I tipped him $50. They might have trouble paying. I told the man quietly. You might want to get security ready. We walked out into the cool night air. The valet brought my car around, a modest sedan because I drove the sensible car, while my dad drove the Mercedes I leased. When we got in, the silence in the car was heavy. Sarah didn't speak until we were on the highway. David, she whispered. Did you really? Yes. But how will they live? The mortgage, Jessica's rent. Not my problem, I said. And for the first time in my life, I truly meant it. They called you a peasant, Sarah. They insulted you to your face while eating food I bought. I'm done paying people to abuse my wife. She started to cry. Soft, quiet tears. I didn't want this. I know, I said, taking her hand. That's why I had to do it. Because you never would. The fallout was nuclear. By the time we got home, my phone had 42 missed calls. I didn't answer. I sat on the couch, opened the settings on my iPhone, and blocked their numbers one by one. It was incredibly satisfying. Then I blocked their emails. Then I blocked them on social media. 3 hours later, the doorbell rang. It was 11 p.m. I checked the security camera. It was Jessica. She was crying, mascara running down her face. She was banging on the door. David, open up. My card got declined at the gas station. I can't get home. I walked to the door but didn't open it. I spoke through the intercom. You have legs. Walk. You're a monster. She screamed. Mom is hyperventilating. Dad is throwing up. You're killing her. Go home, Jessica, I said. Or I'm calling the police for trespassing. She kicked the door, screamed an obscenity that would make a sailor blush, and eventually stormed off. I watched her get into her Audi, which I knew had about a quarter tank of gas left. She wouldn't be driving it much longer anyway. The lease was in my name, but I had already scheduled the early termination pickup for Monday morning. The next week was a master class in manipulation. Since I had blocked them, they started reaching out through others. My Aunt Linda called me. David, your mother is in the hospital, she said, voice trembling. Her heart, the stress. Which hospital? I asked calmly. Street Mary's. Okay, I'll call the nurse's station to check. No, don't bother them. Just come down. I'll call, I said. I called Street Mary's. There was no patient by my mother's name. It was a lie. A classic, desperate lie. Update 1. She laughed. They called my wife a peasant. They called my update 1. Final update. Saturday, October 18th. Update 1. They called my wife a final update. I called Street Mary's. There was no patient by my mother's name. It was a lie. A classic, desperate lie. Then came the flying monkeys, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years sending me Facebook messages about filial piety and how blood is thicker than water. I replied to one of them, blood makes you related. Loyalty makes you family. The bank is closed. Then I blocked them, too. But the real reality check came from the financial institutions. Because I was the primary account holder on everything, I got the notifications. Payment past due. Lexus Financial Services payment past due. Downtown luxury condos home. Insufficient funds. Mom and dad joined checking. They were bleeding fast. They had zero savings. They had spent every dime I gave them on clothes.
Look on the
trips,
side
and
of
meals,
the
assuming the
island,
well would never run
in the
dry.
kitchen.
2 weeks later, I was in my office when the receptionist buzzed me. Mr. Carter, there's a gentleman here to see you. He says he's your father. I sighed. Send him in. My dad walked in. He looked different, older. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a gray, shaky feel. He was wearing a suit, but it looked wrinkled. He sat down across from my desk. He didn't bluster. He didn't command. They took the car, he said softly. A tow truck came this morning. Neighbors were watching. I told you the lease was terminated. I said, not looking up from my laptop. Your mother. She's selling her jewelry.
Good.
The vintage pieces. Good, I said. That should cover the mortgage for a month or two. He looked at me, eyes wet. David, we're drowning.
Went that way.
Jessica is sleeping on a couch because she got evicted.
Huh?
We can't afford
She
the house.
didn't.
We
I
have
don't know
nowhere
where
to
she's
go.
at.
You have
Probably
a
over there
three-bedroom
with fucking
house. I
Karen.
said,
Love how
Jessica
she
could
run
get a
over there
job.
and help
You could get
Karen
a
and
job.
clean that damn
Mom could
camper,
get a
but she
job.
can't come over here and help
You're
us.
60 years old. Walmart is hiring greeters. I repeat, or you can sell the house. You have equity. Downsize.
Huh?
Buy a trailer. Rent a
Yeah.
small apartment. Live within your means. He slammed his hand on the desk.
You could stream it